Welcome to Thriller Recaps. Today, I am explaining the movie, Return to Sender, explaining every scene as it happens. Watch till the end, and please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this. Miranda, a nurse, was keenly watching a surgery being performed. Afterward, she met her friend Nancy, who was also a nurse. Nancy thought Miranda training to be a surgical nurse was something she could never do because it grossed her out. Miranda noticed that one of the older patients at the hospital had passed away and went to tend to her, finding her son there. When she tried to offer comforting words, it turned out that the son didn't actually like his mother. Later, Miranda and Nancy laughed about it, and Nancy also brought up Miranda's blind date, which she thought was a big deal that Miranda had kept secret. On her way home from work, Miranda stopped by the laundry place to pick up her dress. When she went to sign the receipt, she noticed her pen wasn't working. The store lady offered her another pen, and though Miranda was hesitant at first, she eventually used it. When she arrived at her father's house, she called out to him. She had changed into one of the dresses she had bought, but it got snagged slightly by her father's dog, who had surprised her from behind. The father and daughter then went out to eat, and while they were dining, a man started choking. Miranda swiftly jumped into action and saved him. The next day, Miranda got a tour of the apartment she was planning to move into, and she was excited about it. Later, she baked a cake for Nancy's birthday, where she met up with her friends. One of them, who had set her up on the blind date with Kevin, begged Miranda not to disappoint him because Kevin worked with her husband. Miranda assured her she wouldn't. She was painting her nails when there was a knock on the door, so she went to check. When Miranda opened the door, she found Kevin, her blind date, arriving much earlier than expected. A package she had been waiting for was also at the door, so Kevin helped her bring it inside. Although she wasn't entirely comfortable with him being there so early, she went in to change. Noticing the packed boxes, Kevin asked if she was moving, and she confirmed that she was. Miranda returned dressed and eagerly opened the package, revealing a set of pens she had been excited to receive. Feeling uneasy with Kevin's presence, she asked him to leave, explaining it was too early for their date. However, Kevin refused and locked the door. When Miranda threatened to call the police, Kevin became aggressive, and despite her attempts to resist, he forced himself on her. The scene then shifts to Kevin fleeing the house. Shortly after, the real Kevin, her actual blind date, arrived and found Miranda in distress. It became clear that the man who had been with her was not the real Kevin. The real Kevin quickly reported the incident to the police, and Miranda was taken to the hospital. When questioned, Miranda recognized the man who had hurt her. He was the same person she had seen at the place where she had previously helped someone in distress. The police apprehended him as he tried to escape. Despite her father's efforts to comfort her, Miranda's eyes showed the deep impact of the traumatic experience. Miranda's dad went to her house and helped her clean up the mess, his eyes filled with tears. When Miranda was discharged from the hospital, she was a shadow of her former self. The house she had wanted to sell remained unsold, likely because of what had happened to her, so she couldn't move out. At work, her hands were unsteady, and she struggled to focus. Nancy and some of their friends gave her a gift for her potential transfer as a surgical nurse, but Miranda didn't seem overly excited. The cakes she used to bake so perfectly were now hard, as her unsteady hands couldn't manage the delicate task anymore. At work, a doctor expressed disappointment in Miranda, telling her how she had let something stand in the way of becoming the surgical nurse she had always dreamed of being. Miranda realized she couldn't pursue that path, not when she was constantly distracted by her trauma. One day, at the laundry place she frequented, Miranda had an outburst that was completely out of character. She insulted and body-shamed the store lady, calling her both fat and too slim. It was a moment that reflected just how deeply she had been affected by everything that had happened. Miranda's friends gave her a surgical play kit so she could practice at home. She tried using it but struggled, becoming frustrated after many failed attempts. In her frustration, she clawed at the kit. The next day, she woke up and drafted an email before finally sending it. Almost immediately, her mood lifted, and she appeared almost happy. Even Nancy noticed the change at work. Soon, Miranda began refurbishing her old home, making it look new again. She started receiving and sending more emails and even became friendlier with her father's dog. Finally, she received a letter with the words, "You win," written on it. Miranda looked at it and smiled slyly. Miranda visited the cell where her abuser, William Finn, was held. She noticed he looked different. William told her to get on with whatever she came to do. Miranda calmly stated that he probably expected her to cry or scream at him, but she wasn't that kind of person. She only wanted to see him to make sure she could look into his eyes without fear. When William apologized, Miranda instead asked how the food in the cell was, but he couldn't answer as their time was up. Miranda often visited her dad's dog, feeding it regularly. One day, she received a letter from William asking her to visit him, and she agreed. During the visit, William expressed surprise that she was able to reach him through mail, admitting he wasn't good in school. He kept apologizing for everything, so Miranda asked what he wasn't sorry for. He replied that he was good at fixing things, explaining that his father had taught him by beating him and making him repair what he broke. He then suggested that maybe they were similar. He fixed things, and she fixed people. Miranda agreed. On another visit, Miranda was not allowed to see William. Meanwhile, she had grown closer to her father's dog. William's cellmate taunted him about Miranda, which angered him. When Miranda visited again, she complained about the time she had wasted the other day when she wasn't able to see him. William apologized, explaining that he was cornered by people who knew how badly he wanted to get out of the cell and that he couldn't fight back. Miranda asked to see what the others had done to William, and he showed her the stitches on his stomach. During Christmas, Miranda spent time with her father and his dog. On Valentine's Day, she sent a card to William. His cellmate found it, sniffed it, and this made William angry. He warned his cellmate by smacking his head on the table. When Miranda visited, William thanked her for the card. She opened up about how her mother died from an asthma attack when she was 9, and how she was the one who found her. She then asked about William's mother, and he shared that she died when he was 12. He didn't hate anyone, but he believed that if his mother had been alive, he might have been a better person. Miranda told him that there was still time. When Miranda visited again, William seemed nervous. He was getting paroled soon and admitted he would miss her visits. Miranda asked if he thought he had served his time. William apologized again for what he did, saying he couldn't undo it, but he could fix things if Miranda would let him. After leaving, Miranda received a call from her dad. His dog had passed away. She helped him bury it, and over dinner, they talked about how her father had to provide for the family and how that often meant he wasn't present for his children. Meanwhile, William taunted his cellmate about leaving, and the tension between them grew. William remarked on how it was hard for anyone to forget him. Miranda was at work when she received flowers delivered by William. Upset, she called him and told him it was inappropriate to send her flowers at work. William, who was struggling with his own thoughts, listened as she expressed her displeasure. The next day, he showed up at her house to help with some woodwork. Miranda didn't let him inside, only allowing him to work on the porch. As he worked, sweating in the heat, she gave him some lemonade. William promised to return to address a repair on her roof. Meanwhile, Miranda's father was at a local construction store when he saw William buying paint similar to what Miranda had on her roof. It took all his self-control not to react. Later, he confronted Miranda about William's visits, leading to a heated argument. Her father expressed concern that someone with a difficult past shouldn't be allowed near her. Miranda, however, was determined to handle the situation herself, and her father left frustrated. Afterward, Miranda called William. He acknowledged that he had overheard the argument between her and her father, and said he would prefer to distance himself to avoid causing any more issues. Miranda reassured William that her father would likely keep his distance for 2 weeks after such an outburst, so he didn't need to worry, unless he was afraid of a 70-year-old man. They laughed it off. The next day, William returned, sweaty from working in the heat, so Miranda offered him some water. As they worked, William complained of a stomach ache. He asked if he could come inside to cool off, as he didn't think he could make it home. The next time William woke up, he found himself restrained. Miranda calmly reminded him of the harm he had caused her, which she couldn't forget. When William asked what she had given him, Miranda told him it was a harmful substance, adding that even her father's dog had managed better. William passed out but later regained consciousness. Miranda offered him water, remarking that she wasn't sure why he would accept anything from her after what had happened. He hesitated, but Miranda pointed out that he had nothing more to lose. To reassure him, she drank some of the water herself, and he reluctantly took a sip. Just then, the doorbell rang, disrupting the moment. Miranda quickly took action to ensure William remained quiet. Miranda went downstairs with a sledgehammer in hand to open the door, only to find a delivery waiting for her. It was her favorite pen. She returned to where William was restrained and began talking about how she was no longer allowed to perform surgeries because she had developed a twitch in her hands. William insisted that she wasn't a killer, reminding her that she saved lives. Miranda replied that she felt she had failed her mother despite her efforts to help her. Miranda told William that while she was calm during their ordeal, she believed he was experiencing regret now. She made him look at himself, and he reacted with shock. Later, Miranda visited her father and apologized. He expressed concern for her well-being, noting that she had always been strong, even after her mother's death, But now he was worried for her future. The movie ends with Miranda stating that she knew William wouldn't be coming to the house anymore because she had made sure of it. Please like, share, and subscribe.